Hello everyone and welcome back to MixBuzz TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube. I'm your host David, and in this video I will show you how to recreate with plugins what I think are the best and most useful functions you get from some of the most advanced summon mixers. Here we go. Before we start, if this is your first time here on MixBuzz TV, please consider subscribing, hit the bell icon, and if our videos are helping you in any way and you want to support the channel, you can shop on Amazon using our codes or our Amazon shop. Or grab a t-shirt or a mug in our MixBuzz TV gear store, links in the info box down below. Your support is much appreciated. But on today's video, the summon mixer topic. I knew when I made the video discussing summon mixers that was a touchy subject and that I would have probably had to do a follow-up video to explain that I'm not against summon mixers, nor those of you who have one should be somehow offended or felt like they bought a useless piece of gear because of what I said. Maybe overpriced, yes, if summon is all that it does without giving you any other function, but still not useless. But those additional functions some of the latest models have are exactly what I want to focus on this video, and I want to show you how we can recreate with plugins what I think are the most useful functions, the ones that can objectively improve a mix. So instead of just looking like I'm bashing summon mixer, which I don't want to do, I never meant to do, I'll actually give you guys some alternatives, some advice, and show you some tricks. So I hope you will like this. Okay, so different models of the newest summon mixers offer different features and different functions. There are so many and I cannot cover all of them, so I will narrow it down to what I think are the most important and the ones that impact the most your mix. But some of them offer some sort of limiting, some of them offer a basic band XL EQ, but I will narrow down the good of a summon mixer in three elements. One is saturation, the second one is stereo field and what we call crosstalk, and the most important one is this phase shift, which is a concept that is kind of hazy, and people usually say my mix has more depth, my mix is wider. There are a lot of words in this fashion used. They are not so easy to grasp because they have different meanings for different people and they don't describe a specific clear action or result. More depth, okay, more 3D or a bigger stereo field. It's kind of hazy, okay? And in the plugin world, there is this plugin here called Dr. MS by Matthew Lane, and is a very underrated plugin, and I feel like this plugin can give you 90% of the benefits of what we like about the analog summon mixer. But let me walk you through it a little bit. Let's see what it does, and then we'll go into the other summon mixer functions like saturation and the other stuff we said. So this plugin has 4 modules. You can see mid, side, focus, and field. So this is pretty straightforward. It's a mid-side encoder, and you can control the levels of the mid and the side. But for each module here, for each of the 4 modules, has a frequency HPF with the resonance and a frequency for the LPF with the resonance and a delay. This is very important because this knob, when engaged, will delay this portion of the signal, in this case the mid or the side if you turn it out on the side, or the focus or the field, by the amount of milliseconds that you input here. And this will have a massive impact on your mix, both in what we call depth and width and all those words that we use when we hear a mix and there's this more 3D feeling. But before going into the delay and try it, let's see what the focus and the field modules do. So what the focus module does is it injects the unprocessed mono signal, mono portion of your signal into the stereo mix. And the field does the opposite. It injects the stereo information of your mix into the mono channel. You can imagine already this is way beyond simple crosstalk, which is the bleed of one channel into the other. This will massively impact the depth and the field and the 3D feeling of your mix. Let's take a listen. So with the focus, we are injecting the mono portion of the signal of the mix into the sides. We exaggerate. Like I said, it's very easy to overdo, so a little bit goes a long way with this. But hear how kick and snare and the lead vocals get a lot more present by just twisting this few numbers. Okay, it feels like the stereo image is narrowing it down, but if you look at it from the other perspective, the mono signal is getting more muscular. Let's try the field module, which is the one that gives us the more pleasant feeling, the wider mix in a very, very different way than boosting the side signal, because it injects what's in the mono portion of the mix into the sides. See, this is what it's in the side. Now is getting monoed, and the level is boosted into the mono signal. And like I said, it's very easy to overdo. So it really is like a range that goes from 0 to 10 with these two things, usually on a mix, of course. Not for sound designing, you can do whatever. But let's try a little bit of both. Okay, so we have other functions here. For example, the inversion of the phase. So let's try that. You see, it changes so much. Let's try it with the field. You see my point? Now you cannot take a listen to this and not see how many options and in how many ways you can work and process and change what we call stereo field, depth, and whatever 3D of your mix with this plugin alone, just with these two modules, than you can do with a Summit mixer. Okay, you have so much control and you have so many options. And we didn't even go into the filters because these filters will give you more control. Let's try to tweak them in the focus module. So basically these are just an HPF and an LPF. And when we inject the mono signal into the sides, we can decide to limit the bandwidth. So let's solo it. If I cut the high end, only the low end will go into the full mix. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? If I want to do the opposite, I will leave the high end open, only inject the high end. And let's put the filters back at Unity And let's take a listen to the delay. This, it's pretty straightforward. It will delay the signal, in this case, the unprocessed mono information that goes into the side. It will delay it by the number of milliseconds that we decide here with this knob. Let's hear what it does. So this is without, with, and now the delay. You hear the phase and all the control that you have, and you see why this plugin is very dangerous. And it's easy to overdo. Again, I repeat myself, but that's really the case here. So you need to be careful. But my point is this: when we talk about depth and stereo field and all the crosstalk and phase bleeding one channel into the other, this plugin is fantastic, and it gives me personally a lot more control over a mix than what I get from a summing mixer. At least the same, but let's be honest, no machine has this amount of control and can allow you to do such things. I think though they did a hardware version of this, which I'm very interested in trying, if I'm not mistaken. But let's try really quick to see what it does, the field with the delay and the filters. That's pretty nice. Without. Sorry to zoom in. Okay, so yeah, I'm just playing around here to show you what you can do with this, and you can do so much. So again, what I feel is anything you can possibly get from a static process. Okay, analog is dynamic, we all know that, but you know what I mean. I mean a machine that it doesn't really have that many controls, not this many for sure, but you see my point. All the crosstalk and the stereo field manipulation that you can have with a summing mixer, and the new models do have processing very, very similar to this one. This is why I'm showing you this. I think the Neve summing mixer has something very similar to this. But if you don't have the money for that, this is the key. And I'm not sponsored by Matthew Lane. I'm not endorsed by this plugin in any way. I just think it's amazing. And very underrated, because probably is very difficult to use and it's very easy to overdo. But take the time to learn it, because it's so worth it. It's really a secret weapon. After that, after all the manipulation you can do with that plugin, on top of the regular mid-side processing, the other thing that summing mixer gives you is saturation. I think we can all agree to that. Some models have more options than others, but overall they pretty much all give you some sort of saturation, and some models have different types of saturation. And I'm just gonna show you a couple of good saturators that I like for the whole mix, for the two bus, which have different algorithms and that I feel are suited for two bus processing for a whole mix. And they can get very close, if not better, of some of the summit mixers out there. Namely here, the Izotope Ozone 7 Exciter. You've seen me using this before, is one of my favorite for different reasons. The first is because it has 6 algorithms going from warm, retro, tape, tube, triode, and dual triode. Triode being my favorite usually. And then because it's multiband. So you can decide the amount of saturation for each band and the mix for each band. Or you can use it as a wide band. You can remove bands too. But again, this, I feel it gives you so many options in the box to get saturation. And it can be really, really subtle, which is usually what a summit mixer is. Or it can be, completely obvious. Listen just how lovely it is. Just this setting. I'm overdoing, of course, just to make it obvious, but you get my point. Let's put it down a bit. Okay. Even if we match the level, it's still... And there are all the other algorithms. Again, so many options and they sound so good. I think it's a really, really good choice to try to get what you get with a high-end summit mixer. The other one would be Saturn. I like the Izotope better for 2-bus, but this is very similar. It has different algorithms. I like all the tubes and all the tapes, pretty much, and the gentle saturation. For 2-bus, we are talking about 2-bus, the whole mix. I find this one to be a little more heavy-handed than the Izotope by default, but we can adjust it, you can adjust it, and it can be multi-band too. So, say it's a little too boomy here. We use the clean tape instead. Okay, a lot of options. But one thing that I really, really like about the FabFilter Saturn is that you can put it in mid-side mode and, for example, decide for each band what you want to saturate. For example, in this case, the low end, if I want to saturate just the mid channel, I'll exaggerate. Okay. Or let's say in the mids, I want to saturate just the side. I'm obviously exaggerating that, but you get my point. Even this one is another way to manipulate your stereo field, the depth, the 3D image of your mix without even going into levels, just by saturating the mids or the sides, and it gives you so many options. So what I'm saying here is color in the box nowadays gives us so many options and they sound so good that yes, it takes a little more time to tweak them and it takes a little more time to find the right settings and the right algorithm. Requires work, but if you're willing to spend the time on them, I want to say it can lead you to at least the same level of results, if not better, just because of all the options and, you know, music and color and whatever definition we want to attach to our mix, depth, 3D. It's so subjective that, it's really hard to tell what is better. Your ears will be the judge, and I bet nobody can listen to a mix and say this one had this plugin on instead of having such a summon mixer. But yeah, I want to show you another one, which is again underrated somehow because it's old. Even though they redid the GUI, this is not really a is a saturator, but it is meant to be a tape analog emulation. Is the analog channel AC202 by Mac DSP, and it's really, really nice. It's just a tape emulation, so you have the bump here, the roll-off, different models of tape machines, and the bias, which you can look at some sort of compression. You have IPS 7.515, all you can find in tape emulation. Why am I showing you this? Because the few times that I had to mix without my Neves tape emulation hardware, this is what I use to replace them. And if you take a look, I'm using it in dual mono. Let's make it more obvious. Different models. USAM being my favorite, as you can probably imagine. The curve is very, very similar to my Neves. But yeah, this is no mid-side or depth field, but is a saturator. It does saturation. It does some sort of roll-off, especially if you go higher in IPS. And it's very easy to set up, and it sounds amazing. So the last thing would be the crosstalk. And the only one I have here that can do that is the Waves NSL bus. It does crosstalk. You cannot control it really. I'm using it in dual mono, but there are so many plugins that can do just crosstalk. But you can also do it yourself, just simple crosstalk. You just bleed one channel into the other, left, right. But yeah, this is anyway supposed to be an emulation of a summing stage. There are many. I think Slate has one too. I like the Neve the best out of the three different algorithms, and a little goes a long way. You can drive it pretty hard. And again, it's just a stage of saturation and crosstalk, and probably there's some phase shift underneath the hood, and you cannot control it as you can do with the Dr. MS by Matthew Lane, but this is a pretty straightforward set and forget, and it sounds good. So these are just few options, guys. Like I said, my point here was just to show you that you can replicate what a summing mixer does, even the models with different functions, the newest models, which doesn't mean you shouldn't buy one. If you have one, if you want to buy one, and if it works for you, just go for it, okay? I'm pretty sure some people don't like some piece of gear I have and I use, but who cares? But that doesn't mean anything. The most important thing is that you find something that you click with that makes your mixes better. And if you don't have the money to spend on a summon mixer, I'm just giving you options, things you can do in the box to get, again, the same results. And sometimes, if you spend the time, even better. That's just my opinion. I hope you guys like this video. So this is it for this video. I hope you liked it and I hope it was useful. Let me know what you think in the comment down below, and please leave us a like and share the video around. If you want to support the channel, use our code or our store to shop on Amazon, or visit the MixBus TV gear store and get some gadget, t-shirt, a mug. Links in the info box down below. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and stay up to date with all the news, upcoming videos. Please keep supporting MixBus TV by sharing the videos on forums, blogs, social media. Subscribe, hit the bell icon if you haven't already, and see you next time.